In this video, I will cover graphing linear equations and finding the x and y intercepts. Since our first example is in slope-intercept form, we can use the slope and the y-intercept to graph the line. So our y-intercept is positive 4, so 0, 4. And our slope is negative 2/3. That means that we could look at it as a negative 2 over positive 3 or a positive 2 over a negative 3. That means that we can go down 2 and right 3, or we could go up 2 and left 3. Remember that down is negative, up is positive, right is positive, and left is negative. So whenever you have a negative slope, you could either go down and then right, or you can go up and then left. So we'll go up 2 and left 3 for another point. And also from the y-intercept, we can also go down 2 and right 3. We can also go down 2 more and right 3 more. And we can do that however many times we want, even though to graph a line, we really only need 2 points. I always like to make arrows at the end of my line to show that the domain and range is all real numbers, because the line does keep going forever. Now we know since our equation is in slope-intercept form, we know that our y-intercept is positive 4. But we could show our work if we just really wanted to. For the y-intercept, you're always solving for y, and x is always 0. So we can see that negative 2/3 times 0 is 0, and y would equal 4. Now some teachers want you to write your y-intercept as y equals a number, and some want you to write it as a point. So whenever you write it as a point, the x is always 0. Now for the x-intercept, there's a couple of ways that we can find that. We actually have it on our graph here because we use our slope to go down 2, right 3, down 2, right 3, and so we actually have our x-intercept as a point. So we already know that it's x equals 6, or 6, 0. But we could also solve for it by setting y equal to 0 and solving for x. So we'll just do that for the extra practice. Subtract 4 on both sides, and then multiply both sides by the reciprocal, because that's the easiest way to solve for x, since multiplying by the reciprocal will divide out everything on this side and you're just left with x. On this side, if we want to simplify before we multiply, 4 divided by 2 is 2. And so then we have negative 3 times negative 2 for an x value of 6. You could also write that as a point where y is always 0. Now let's look at another example where the linear equation is given in standard form. When an equation is given in standard form with the x term, then the y term equals to the constant, and you have no fractions and the value in front of x is positive, that's standard form. This really helps you find the x and y-intercepts very quickly, because when x is 0, this goes away, and you can just set negative 3y equal to negative 12. When y is 0, this whole term goes away, so you can just set 4x equal to negative 12. So let's do that now. To solve for the y-intercept, you set x equal to 0 and solve for y. So this completely goes away, and we just have negative 3y equals negative 12. Divide both sides by negative 3, and we get y is positive 4. Which means that we have the point 0, 4 on our graph. To solve for the x-intercept, we will set y equal to 0 and solve for x, so this completely goes away. So we have 4x equals negative 12, so x equals negative 3, and we have the point negative 3, 0. Now, if we wanted to go ahead and plot those 2 points, that's really all we need to graph the line. So let's go ahead and do that now. Now let's go ahead and solve this equation for y and put it in slope-intercept form as well. But thank you for choosing Math with Caroline. Please give a thumbs up if you're learning, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Let's solve this equation, 4x minus 3y equals negative 12 for y. So we'll subtract 4x on both sides. Now we do want to put that x term first, since we want it in slope-intercept form, and the number in front of x is always our slope. When you divide both sides by negative 3, it's always best to write each term above negative 3. Now, of course, negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1, so this is just y. Now, since this is a negative over a negative, this is going to become a positive slope, which we can see from our line that we have a positive slope. And 4 and 3 do not simplify, so we're just going to leave it as 4 over 3x. And then here we have negative 12 divided by negative 3, so that's a positive 4. That does simplify to positive 4. Now we can compare this to the line that we graphed. This says that our y-intercept is positive 4, our y-intercept is positive 4, and this says our slope is 4 over 3. Since this is a positive slope, we can go up and right, since it's positive and positive, or we could go down and left. Since that's a negative over a negative, that would also become a positive. So we can see that we have that here. If we go up 4 and right 3, or we could go down 4 and left 3. Please leave a comment. I would love to hear from you.